911, what's your emergency?
Help. I have to come up with an opening stinger, but I'm too sad about Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball. Guys. This is not a good day. It's a horrible day.
As of recording this, we lost Dolly today.
We lost Dolly, guys. And I'm not going to say who it should have been. I'm not going to say who it should have been for legal liability purposes.
Should have been any number of people.
There's a list, okay? There is a list. I was playing some Pokemon on my Nintendo Switch, and my roommate comes out and he goes, "I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Dolly Parton died." And I dropped everything. It was not good.
You know how I found out is I was sitting on the patio of a coffee shop with my sister, and she like glanced at her phone and gasped and like looked at me. I thought that maybe like one of our family, somebody had texted like that a family member had died, but she said Dolly Parton died. And then she was like, she showed me the text. She had gotten a text from our high school music teacher that we still talk to, saying Dolly's gone.
Do you remember those stories of like people like former Directioners? Like when Liam Payne died, they would be like in a coffee shop and like you'd hear a gasp from across the coffee shop and then they just come together. That's kind of what America's doing right now. Dolly Parton dying, to quote a tweet that I just saw, it's basically America's 9/11. It's
America's 9/11.
We're not doing good. I kind of on a loop listened to her song "The Grass Is Blue" for like I want to say 15 straight minutes, and I don't feel good.
Well, you know what's funny is the last week I've been listening to the Trio album again, like the complete Trio album, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was like the gravitational pull, like the energy of Dolly Parton's last moments on Earth, like pulling me towards listening to that album again?
So here's what I'm going to say, probably, because...
Yeah, we can't rule it out.
Nobody online is discussing this, but I fear it must be said that Dolly Parton's death is another thing that we can blame on Lindsay Ellis, because at time of recording, just yesterday, she put out a new video on Nebula. It's like an hour long. It's great. I watched the whole thing about Dolly.
You know, I had just seen on Instagram, she was posting like her daughters were in like a Dolly Parton museum or experience or something. So
yeah, Dollywood. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if it like looked like a museum, but I guess it must have just been a museum part of Dollywood. Wow, I can't believe I never got to see Dollywood while Dolly was alive. Should we take a podcast field trip and take a Hodge to Dollywood?
Honestly, yes. No, honestly, yes. I am down for this.
I know Dolly doesn't technically have anything to do with 911 or the podcast, but like, she's very important to us. Tickets are probably going to skyrocket, though. Everybody's going to have the same idea.
Especially if they put together like a very like special big memorial service for her at the park, or like unveil like the Dolly Parton memorial, like a statue or like a plaque or something like that.
Yeah, maybe we should wait a year or something.
Yeah, pay our respects in like a celebration of life kind of way on like the 1 year anniversary, the Dollyversary. I don't want to live in a world where Dolly's not here.
Yeah, you guys, everybody listen to the Trio album tonight, because that's, I admit, I'm much more familiar with the Trio album than like any of the three participants' solo albums. But oh my God, Wildflowers. Some of the Dolly-centric songs are like Wildflowers, Do I Ever Cross Your Mind, Those Memories of You.
Yeah, stream The Grass is Blue. It's my favorite of her albums. It's very bluegrass. It's called The Grass is Blue, of course it's bluegrass. Stream 9 to 5, of course, because life goes on, and please stream I Will Always Love You. Just to get the cry out, okay? Stream the
Right.
Dolly version and the Whitney Houston, and I hope they are having a high old time reuniting in heaven, those two angels.
Well, yes.
How do we talk about the episode now? How do we talk about 911 after that?
Do we have to?
Do we have to? Guys, this episode was boring. This episode was boring and it wasn't good. I'm sorry.
What do you want us to say? I feel like
okay.
we very nearly just took another week off today after learning of Dolly's death.
Yeah. I was like up to the edge.
Like, is this even fun for you to listen to? Today we're talking about season 6, episode 10, In a Flash, directed by Bradley Mononym, written by Juan Carlos Cotto. Man, everybody has lost their sauce this season.
Oh my god.
It's not like,
the miss.
It's not
the
like
miss.
A bad episode. Like, well, it's I want to say it's not like offensive, but I do think some things actually rubbed me the wrong way a little bit in this episode. We might as well just dive right in. R.I.P. Dolly. This episode was boring. So we open on this call with a season 6 typical on the nose needle drop of Island in the Sun by Weezer, because what's happening? We're on the beach in the sun. You know how it is.
I do like that song.
Well, everybody likes that song, but like I'm just pointing out it's another like really ham-fisted song choice. They were like, beach songs, ?
Imagine if like it opened on Beverly Hills and it was like, Beverly Hills,
yeah.
That's where I wanna be. Have they done that yet? That sounds familiar.
So. I don't think so.
Maybe I'm misremembering. But it's something that they would do. But there's this family, okay? And it's that cliche like family setup. So there's a dad and he's got 2 kids, and the little boy, he's like very energetic. He's excited to be at the beach. Beach is fun. Ask Ken. But then the older daughter, she's like, I can't believe you dragged me out to beach. Barbie's not even here. And so she's on her phone and stuff, and she's kind of giving like a little lip.
Yeah, we hear that she's like mad at their dad all the time. We never get an answer for why.
Which is crazy because they do some like really ham-fisted exposition with the 2 siblings, just to, I guess, drop us into the world of their family. That comes off very clunky and not natural at all. The son just starts monologuing to the daughter about how she's changed as she's gotten older. Like, you're being so much meaner to dad. We used to love going to the beach when we were kids. We used to bury him up to his neck.
You can tell this was written by a man, because I'm sorry, if a teenage girl is mean to her dad all the time, she has a good reason.
I agree. And I'm a feminist, so I'm listening and learning. Jane, tell us more. Tell us more about
I just think, well, it's one thing for a teen to, like, I don't know, be angsty to their parents in general because they're a teenager. But I don't know, this scene is like, why are you so mean to dad all the time? Like, I thought there would be some explanation like, oh, mom and dad got a divorce recently and the girl's kind of taking the mom's side. But no, we just don't hear it. And I don't know, in my experience, it's like if you get older and you start getting pissed off at your dad, it's like you're probably just like unpacking your whole childhood's worth of like bad parenting and stuff. And, you know, I'm on her side. I'm taking her side in the divorce.
We're taking her side. And you know what? I feel like Dolly would also take her side. She'd show a lot of love to this girl here. But maybe
she's mad at her dad because her dad is just sleeping all the time instead of parenting. Because
that's true.
He's just sleeping on the beach, and he's sleeping so deeply and soundly that when his kids are like, "Well, let's have fun and bury him in the sand," he does not even, you know, open an eye. They like take his towel that he's laying on and like dump him in this big wet hole they've dug, and he stays asleep. Like, does he have a medical condition maybe? Like, girl, if you're mad at your dad because he's always asleep instead of hanging out with you, like, it might be time to take him to the doctor.
That would turn me away from the daughter a little bit if she like showed no empathy for his like debilitating medical condition that makes him fall asleep all the time. No, the way that
okay, maybe we have to reconsider our siding with the daughter.
Yo, this daughter's not woke. Her hatred for her father is overpowering. She's ableist. guys, canceled. No, the way that the dad plays this, the dad's actor plays this, it does seem like he stirred while they were taking him, and he was just playing along because he could tell his daughter was like getting in on it and everything, and he wanted her to have a good time.
Okay, maybe I'm just stupid. I was like, oh, I guess he actually stayed asleep the whole time.
But they do bury him. They bury him, and then he wakes up and he's like, "What's this? My kid! I fell asleep, and my kids have buried me up to my neck. Oh wow, the horror of this situation!" And then it turns horrifying because lightning strikes. Lightning strikes their little parasol, and
Yes.
after she throws water onto the sand to wet it. And if any of you guys know anything about this, so when you superheat sand, especially when it's given kind of like a liquid, I don't know what the word is for this,
Conductor.
accelerator or something. I don't know. It turns to glass. So now he's covered in sharp, jagged glass as lightning is striking this scenic, seemingly overcast beach.
Horrifically, after the sand turns to glass, it also like cuts the dad's neck, and he also starts spurting blood out of his neck as we cut to the title card.
Good.
So it is a very dramatic opening call.
I'm rewatching The Pit right now because the season 3 teaser dropped and it looks really good. It's edited like a horror movie, and I'm excited. So I want to go through this case, doing my best, Dr. Al Hashimi. So I'll straighten my spine and I'll say, there are shards of glass embedded in his neck that are severing his jugular vein. This is a good sign.
So the 118 race to the rescue, and, you know, they're like, the glass is cutting him. But luckily, the heat of the lightning strike, like, kind of cauterized the wound.
Yeah.
Buck starts trying to calm down the kids. He's like, hey, guys, I know life can be scary sometimes, but I'm Buck, and I'm here to help. That's what he says. And,
that's what he says. He says those words.
Eddie and Chimney are like chiseling the glass. It's pretty funny. Unfortunately, as they're getting him out, like, then he gets cut in the arm and his arm starts spurting blood. They have to put a tourniquet on him.
The shards of glass have moved their way down to his vein in his arm, and he is now pumping blood all over the sand. This is a good sign.
They're also like expositioning about this phenomenon. Like, it's sort of like when I feel like I've talked about this before to compare it to 911 episodes, but like sometimes there'll be those Reddit 2-sentence horror stories where it's very obvious that they just learned an interesting fact and wanted to shoehorn it into a story to show people that they knew a certain fact. And I feel like that in these calls sometimes, where they're like, the heat of the lightning must have heated up the sand and turned it to glass. It's like, yeah, I figured. So they get through this call. The girl's like, I guess I'm gonna stop hating my dad so much. And that's pretty much it.
I'm still on the Reddit 2-sentence horror stories. I'm sorry. Like,
I'm trying to think of a good example.
A woman had a run-in with a snake. Her name was Cleopatra. Like,
yeah.
Like,
what's that tickle I feel around my ankle? Said the woman. She was Cleopatra, and the year was year when Cleopatra got bitten by the asp. I'm trying to format it in the best way possible.
A little boy woke up in the middle of the night and light flooded in his window. It was the year in Italy, Mount Vesuvius. That was what I was going for. So, okay.
It was the year in Italy. Or you could do kind of like that Robert Pattinson movie, Remember Me, like, I sure am excited to go to work this morning, the businessman said as he walked into the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001. So at Dispatch, everybody's watching the news where news guy is saying, we're having this is kind of a similar thing of just like dropping random factoids in a clunky way into the script. It's like, this is a phenomenon called dry thunderstorms where we're having lightning and thunder but no rain because the rain is evaporating up in the sky. And it's like, okay,
Juan Carlos, what's going on, babe? Were you on Wikipedia the night before you wrote this, just like searching through pages?
Well, maybe it was like he knew the show was getting canceled and he was like, fuck it, I'm quiet quitting. So Maddie and Josh are walking through the dispatch, and we get more clunky exposition that Maddie's parents are visiting, and she's really stressed out because she and Chimney just got this new house and it's fixer-upper, and she just knows that her parents are going to be judgmental. And also, Albert is coming back from Korea, apparently, where I guess he was.
Yeah, we didn't know that, by the way. We did not know that he was in Korea.
Unless there was like some offhand mention that I missed. Yeah. Albert has been in Korea, I guess, and he's coming back, so Maddie's stressed out that they're going to have all this family over, and, you know, it's just always a thing seeing the Buckley parents. You never know.
I'm pretty sure this is Albert's last appearance on the show.
You think so?
Guys, this is Albert Ends.
Damn, does he not even come back for the chatty wedding?
No, he's not there for the chatty wedding. It was a big stink online. They were like, they can get Kevin, but not Albert.
Josh has a funny Joshism here where Josh is like, trust me, girl, I get it. If my family were coming to stay, I'd take a sledgehammer to my kitchen first. And it's just like the way he is able to contort his face like into such a hammy little ham face. I love it.
Brian Safi is a living cartoon character, and we love him for that.
And a living legend.
Come on the pod, Brian. We know you're a podcaster.
We know that's not going to happen.
So we cut from that scene to Chimney, who's like flambeing or whatever.
Yeah, what is he flambeing?
Some meat.
Bananas Foster, perhaps?
Maybe. It doesn't seem that it has a lot of continuity with the dish that we see, but the house looks like stupidly good.
Yeah, the house is looking adorable. How much money did they pour into the renovation of this house?
I don't know. A whole TV studio's worth, apparently.
I guess maybe they did have some wiggle room because they say in this scene, apparently the Buckley parents helped them by putting down basically the entire down payment for them.
Yeah.
So maybe that gave them the funds to do their big fancy renovation. They have this adorable little like archway backsplash on the back of their counter. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's a good interior design moment. It's very intricate. It looks super clean.
The whole house is very LA. Like it's got that sort of hacienda kind of style we see like their back patio later, and it's also very sort of like Mediterranean looking, very sunny, just very California. And I think that's kind of cool, like that. I know we were just talking about how like we don't care about the the LA culture that they put into these episodes, but at least if you're gonna be lazy and just set your TV show in LA where all the TV shows are filmed, at least they're like, embracing it.
Yeah. But Chimney, he's like, hey, Maddie, and Maddie's like, hey, Chimney. They have a whole back and forth about like the renovations to like make sure the audience knows that like, yes, this is new and it will be commented on. And we get the lore, like you said, that the Buckley parents like put down basically the entire down payment. And Chimney's like, he's going to do his best to honor them at dinner by offering her dad the head seat of the table. And then on the baby monitor, we see that Ji Yun is up. And so Maddie goes to get her. Meanwhile, who should walk through the door but Evan Buckley? And I'm calling him Evan because they make a point to call him Evan around his parents. And Buck brought his parents. And they are so defanged from the last time that we saw them.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's like they're on Ativan like the entire time or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it does feel like someone has heavily medicated the Buckley parents because all of a sudden they're just kind of normal. Nothing has ever gone wrong here.
These extremely reasonable parents who love their kids, and we have no reason to think otherwise.
So this was one of my first problems with the episode is you're like, how did we get here? And also, why does this show insist on redeeming parents in such like
reality bending ways, like Athena stepping in at the end of the Odyssey to like make all the suitors forget about what happened, or their families forget about what happened.
Yeah, it's just like a no like linear progression or anything. They just sort of will like establish a parent who is literally the devil from the Bible, and then like a season later it'll be like they're back, and guess what? you have to forgive them. And to justify that you have to forgive them and totally make amends in your relationships, we're just going to make them act completely normal and nice and pretend that this is a normal change to have happened.
Yeah. You get like some sideways glances when they like the backsplash or, you know, whatever, and they're not judgmental about anything, but like it's not commented on. There's no like aside or anything. It's just like,
right.
oh, wasn't expecting that. Moving on. Maddie comes out with G and instantly gives her to grandma. And I'm like, get G away from that woman. You know what she did to you, Maddie. Like,
yeah.
I was activating my protective instincts.
Yeah, I guess the Buckleys have either been doing like a therapy speed run, or yes, they are just drugged up or something.
Mm-hmm. And like, you know, Chimney offers, Howie, because Buck calls him Howie, because we're not doing nicknames, or we are, but only the acceptable ones.
yeah.
And Howie offers, Mr. Buckley, the head of the table, and he's like, pish posh, I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then who should arrive? But it's Albert. Hey, Albert's here. He looking better than ever, looking so handsome. Miss the mustache.
Yeah, he's in a cute stripy shirt. Chimney is like, oh, Albert, I'm so happy to see you and just you. And Albert's like, well, so about that, I actually brought your dad and his wife all the way from Korea. You know, this is a shock. This is a shock. Chimney is gagged, you could say.
He is so gagged. We're all gagged. Then we go to commercial through the mirror of my mind. I'm just going to speak it this time. And then we go back to Hen, who's at home. She got groceries. And Denny, or D, as he would like to be known, because he's growing up and he wants a cool nickname. So he's going to go by D. I know it's probably just his initial, but I like to think it's D as in D from It's Always Sunny.
Ooh, yeah.
So sweet D over here, he wanted rubber bands. And Hen's like, oh man, I got everything but rubber bands. She's like taking out the groceries, and D is like, I asked for one thing, and Hen's like, I know, it's just I got these eggs and I got all these frozen blueberries that kill you. And but wait, what's this? Whole bag of rubber bands. Will this do? And D, sweet D, he's like, oh my God, thanks, Mom. You're the best parent, except for the one that I haven't told you about. Thanks. And he takes it back to the couch. And he's like, I don't know what he's doing with the rubber bands, by the way. I don't know why he needed these.
We see it in a second.
Why did he want them? I don't remember. Because he has a baseball.
He has a baseball glove, and I guess he has to do something with it by putting a rubber band around it. I don't know anything about baseball.
I do, and I don't know what he's doing with this. What is he doing with the rubber bands and the baseball and the glove? Like, okay, it's fine. I wasn't on Juan Carlos Wikipedia Odyssey before he wrote this episode, so I'll trust him. But we do, Hen's like, oh man, when'd you get that glove and that ball? And he's like, I've been saving up my allowance. And she's like, but I thought you liked soccer. And he goes, fuck soccer. Thanks, Mom. Then he runs away. That's the end of that scene. So at the Buckley Han family dinner with all of the families,
yes.
Plural, it looks like a beautiful dinner spread. It actually looks very scrumptious.
Mm-hmm. They've got this giant platter of potato wedges.
Yes.
I would eat all of them and leave none for anybody else in the family.
You're actually getting at what I was going to ask, because they suddenly have 2 surprise guests. So what if they only portioned for the specific amount of people?
Maybe Chimney's family ate on the plane.
I don't know.
But Chimney is like, hey, we need more wine. I'm going to get us more wine. Come with me, Albert, to get more wine. We're going to do it outside with the door closed. Mm-hmm. So they go into the backyard on this cute back patio. Mm-hmm. And Chimney's like, hey, Albert, what the fuck gives? Why'd you invite my dad?
No, Albert has a really funny line. Because Chimney takes him outside and Albert goes, you keep your wine outside? This fucking idiot.
I mean, maybe some people keep their wine outside. Outdoor wine cellar?
Well, if they have Albert hasn't heard about it because he was
Yeah.
so surprised.
Yeah, but Chimney's like, why did you bring my daddy? And Albert's like, well, he was asking about you. And, like, I just blurted it out and I thought, you should come to America, visit your granddaughter. Chimney's like, you couldn't have called me. Albert is kind of like guilt tripping him. He's like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I just thought maybe you'd want to be a family. And it's like, bro, Chimney was abandoned by his father for almost his entire life. Like, I think he's
Yeah.
pretty justified to not really want to have a relationship to him, at least to not want to, like, be the one to initiate the effort there. And
Mm-hmm.
he's certainly justified in being upset that he was not notified that Albert was bringing his dad uninvited into his house. But yeah, Albert, like,
Mm-hmm.
guilt trips him about it. And I guess that's the perspective you're supposed to think is correct.
I know, and it's crazy because like Albert, like Lokirkineuanly, he's out of line, and I'm
Yeah.
not on his side, and then we just don't linger on it, and it's just like parents' redemption, no effort. Okay,
Albert says this thing where he's like, you may not want a father, but Ji-yeon deserves a grandfather, which I always think is such faulty logic. It's like, if somebody was a bad parent to you, I'm not like antisocial. I think it's generally good to try and make amends with people, or like, try and repair relationships if it's important to you. And also, I don't think you like
mm-hmm.
owe it to the parent to let them have a relationship with your child just
At
because,
all.
yeah, like if they were not there for you. And I also think like, I don't think it's true that like she deserves a to me, it's kind of the same logic as people who oppose gay parents because they're like,
Yeah,
someone needs a mother and father. It's like, well, not really. Like, you just need to be raised
yeah.
by loving parents. Like,
Plenty of people don't have that.
yeah, a lot of people, like, their grandparents might be dead before they're born or not in the picture, and like they get along fine. Like, it's nice to have grandparents, but it's not like Ji-yeon's gonna be totally deprived and like ruined as a child if she doesn't grow up with Chimney's dad. Again, I'm glad that they were able to make amends. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it should happen on Chimney's terms, and it doesn't.
In the internal logic of this show, it does feel like Ji-yeon not having the presence of her grandfather in her life is going to be like the thing that like sends her off the deep end when she's like 15 or whatever. And
Mhm.
that's very bizarre to me. It feels out of line with reality. And also just like morally, I mean, we know what kind of father Chimney's father was.
Yeah.
And he's not entitled to access to Chimney's,
Mhm.
child or his family or his life, under any circumstances.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like this, and I don't like where it goes or how it goes. That's just my opinion, man.
But lucky us, we get to cut to the subplot you forgot existed because it was only brought up out of nowhere in the previous episode, where Bobby is investigating this rehab facility, and this episode he's doing that by sending Athena and May undercover into the facility. So this is kind of fun. Like, Athena is using
I
her
was living for
undercover
this.
skills to
Yeah.
pretend she is role playing as the mother of a troubled drug addict played by May. And May has really gone the extra mile. She's like put on makeup to
Oh yeah.
like give herself really
Mhm.
dark circles and like a pale face.
hmm
And
She's like
Athena's,
selling it too. She's like
yes,
really like selling it. And
yeah, both of them are. It's the role of a lifetime.
role of a lifetime. And I will say it does, like, it is funny to think about like how high stakes this out of nowhere plot is for Bobby, that like
Yeah.
he would even consider like sending May behind enemy lines.
Right, like to a place where he's pretty sure they like murdered his AA sponsor. That is a little wild. I guess he trusts that Athena is there and she won't let anything happen. But yeah, that is a little crazy.
But okay, so but it's it's the same thing. There's art on the wall. It's a rich people rehab, and these people who run it, these rich Hollywood rehab people, they're doing that whole like, I guess you could say counselor speak about the facilities and the goals of their program. And something interesting happens here that kind of ruffled my feathers, which is that May, in character, she's like, says something about, or maybe Athena says something about like in characters about like getting her daughter clean or something, and they immediately jump to, we don't use that word as a harm reduction facility, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, I understand that I'm stepping into a debate that people have strong feelings about with this, but I just found this very virtue signaling, and I find it
Well,
very
that's the
virtue
point.
signally when I encounter it in the real world.
That's supposed to be the point, and I actually have a bone to pick with this for a different reason, but I'll explain. So yes, they really hammer home that this is a harm reduction facility because they don't make people stop using, they focus on like safe using and then reducing using. May ends up going outside with like a current patient at the facility who's like seemingly gotten better, and she's another young woman, and she's kind of telling May, you know, this place is great, this garden out here, you can chillax. And May is like, oh, so I
Mm-hmm.
can get high out here, right? She says, so I can pop off out here, right? And I was like,
Yep.
is that
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that one before.
No. I
Okay.
feel like this is May slipping a little bit, because like we all know that she doesn't party or do drugs.
She's like a straight A student from a wealthy
Yeah.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she I don't know if that's a thing, but inside the people are telling Athena, yeah, she can start right now if she wants. We're very private, very exclusive. We have a bed open. And Athena's like, sounds expensive. Give me a quote. And then we see her and May back at home with Bobby. And she's like, $100,000. And they definitely don't take insurance. And Bobby's like, all that money. And there's so many complaints at this facility. Something fishy is going on. We hear they've had 5 deaths in the last year, which seems
Five.
incredible. But yeah.
5 deaths. 12 beds, mind you. 12
Right.
beds. It is a limited base.
And they're like, they haven't been investigated. And Athena says, oh, like the cops don't really care when somebody dies at one of these facilities because it's so expected. I don't know how true that is, but she sure says it like it is true. Now, here's what I don't like. Bobby says, he sort of like scoffs at the idea. He's like, harm reduction. I know AA isn't for everyone, but like harm reduction, this place doesn't seem to be reducing a lot of harm. And like, you're telling me people can use on the site. And this was where I started to feel like, okay, why is this episode like randomly fear mongering about like harm reduction based approaches to addiction?
Yeah.
I don't know everything about this, but like, yeah, I think more and more like a lot of people are really into the idea that like, you know, sometimes if you know, you can't get everyone to like quit something cold turkey, but it can be it can be life-saving, right, to just give them access to safer ways to use drugs, or
Yeah.
incremental changes, just like hygienic things like, you know, clean needles and stuff. Yeah, like Narcan, the proliferation of Narcan. Why did I say proliferation like it's nuclear weapons? I think I can use proliferation in that context. You know, the popularization of Narcan and trying to get that available at more places, right? So that you are not just, because it's sort of, I'm not saying obviously the best option is to quit something cold turkey, but it is sort of like approaching teen pregnancy with the solution of abstinence, right? It's like, it's nice and it is 100% effective, but obviously it's a much more difficult option. And a lot of people might see that, if they are struggling with addiction, might see that as a really like insurmountable obstacle. And they might think like, if it's all or nothing, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because that sounds too hard right now. And so it can be really useful to say like, well, what if we talk about reducing usage or just using safer, whatever. So I think in general, that is a good thing. And I don't really like that this episode is like, yes, they're not literally saying all harm reduction is bad, but it feels like by using that very specific terminology and really emphasizing the fact that, oh, these people just let people use at their facilities, they're clearly up to no good. And they're clearly just encouraging people to stay hooked so that they'll pay them more money and die at their facility. It's like, you know.
Yeah, no, it's a complicated issue. You know, I do think like there is a conversation to be had about like where the line is between harm reduction and enabling behaviors, and how that manifests in a institution like this.
Like, I agree that this specific place seems bad, but it seems like the episode is sort of trying to send a message about that kind of thing in general.
No, yeah, it's stigmatizing. It is. You know, I know people who like work on street teams who like go out to homeless people and supply them with, you know, clean needles to make sure that if they are using intravenous drugs, that at least they are able to do so without, you know, further endangering their bodies or, you know, risking exposure to HIV or other blood transmitted illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is like there are a lot of really effective harm reduction techniques, you know, and so I totally agree with you that like, I think there is like room for discussion about these things, but this is also a kind of a piss poor way to go about it because this is the first time we've ever heard anything about this kind of treatment, and it's being presented in this kind of way. It's vilifying in a strange way that can be extrapolated, which I don't think they're intending to do. Like they are being very specific about it being this facility, but they are implying certain things about
Mm-hmm.
the broader concept that are not true, and that are perhaps not productive. And Bobby, he really can't let this go, because Wendell just that burned him up, like it burned up poor Wendell. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby's like really deep in the conspiracy board activity, so that's what's going on with Bobby.
It's been 4 months, apparently, by the way. Time skip.
Oh, I
Four
missed
months.
that. Wow. Well, elsewhere at the station, Bobby gets back from his fire call that I guess he was on. And now he's on his laptop in the kitchen. And who is behind him but Buck, who is like aggressively stirring this huge pot of something. Me and my sister were like, what is he stirring? And at first I thought it was like, oh, maybe he's making like a baked mac and cheese because he's got this giant bowl of cheese, like shredded cheese next to him. And I think like a baking pan full of something next to him. But no, because he goes over to Bobby, who's very distracted, like looking at doing more of his investigating. And he goes over to Bobby with a little spoon. And he's like, "Taste this." He like, here comes the airplane.
Right.
He here comes the airplane's Bobby and makes him taste a little taste of his whatever it is. And
It's chili, I believe.
he's like, well,
they say.
I'm getting to that. He's like, it's missing something, isn't it? Is there a secret ingredient? And Bobby says, cocoa powder, at which point I was like, okay, it's probably not baked mac and cheese. And I realized it was probably chili. I guess the big bowl of cheese is there just as a topping. But like when I tell you, it is way too big a bowl of cheese for it to be a reasonable topping. Like even for these 15 to 20 firefighters, they are not going to go through all of that cheese as a garnish. So Buck, there's your first problem. Don't worry about the cocoa powder. Worry about all the cheese that you're wasting.
Waste a good cheese. I mean, I guess Oliver Stark is a vegan, so maybe he insisted on wasting the cheese. But it needs a tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder. And Buck is like, he's like talking about the storm because there's a storm, the dry storm, and like dark clouds hanging over LA, like how dark clouds hang over a person. And Bobby, he's trying to do background checks on those rich people with the rich people rehab, and he's not coming up with anything. There was like Oklahoma mentioned.
Okay, also, let me just say, Buck then tries the chili again after adding the secret ingredient, and he does this really over the top, kind of like nasty acting to be like, this chili is so good. I didn't like it. This scene is pointless. It's Buck's making chili and Bobby is feeling moody about his investigation. Then at Athena's house...
I would have rather seen the call that they were coming back from, but that's just me.
At Athena's house, Athena is hanging out with May on the patio, and May's wearing this adorable little outfit of this sort of like vintage tee with this like these beautiful hot pink pants, and both of them are like watching the storm, the lightning in the sky, and talking about the Wendell thing some more, and it's sort of like metaphorical for the coming storm, but I don't really care.
What a new, fresh, insightful literary motif that's never been done before. A storm is brewing, and there's trouble afoot.
A storm is brewing.
You know, I will say, I enjoyed the atmosphere of this scene greatly because I love nighttime stormy scenes that are intimate dialogues between two characters. I just wish they were talking about something else.
Yeah, something interesting. There is a funny moment in this scene where May mentions her fake undercover role she was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently she named herself Jada Greer, and when she said that I thought she said Judy Greer, like the
Like the
actress.
actress,
Yeah.
yes, Cheryl and Archer.
It was they should have thought that one through. It was a little too close to Judy Greer.
But I guess none of them are that in deep in Judy Greer's filmography. No gay people in the writers' room, I guess.
Yeah, they got to watch Wes Craven's Cursed. But basically, they end the scene by being like, that girl that I talked to at the facility, I'm
Tamara,
gonna, yeah,
Tamara, not Tia, Tamara.
she would have been at the facility when Wendell died. So if they in fact killed Wendell and moved his body, she might know something about it. So I'm gonna talk to her. Okay, whatever. At the station, Chimney and Buck are like polishing the tops of the fire trucks. They're talking about Chimney's daddy issues. Then we like pan down, or no, I should say, let me use the right term. They actually tilt down because it's on a vertical
Ooh,
axis. They tilt down
tilt.
to reveal that Eddie and Hen are, well, actually, it's more like a crane shot. They're not just tilting, they're sort of moving the camera as over as well. Anyway, it's probably a crane shot. So they move the camera down to reveal that Eddie and Hen are playing catch with baseballs and baseball gloves. That's kind of funny. It's sort of like they should have been throwing a football around like they're in the room, but I guess it's because of Denny's interest in baseball that Hen's like, I got to toss a baseball around.
You mean Dee's interest in baseball?
Yeah, Dee's interest in baseball.
Yeah, yeah. I will say there is a shot towards the end of this episode that seems to imply a bit of Freudian imagery with the ladders on the ladder trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do like this moment of Buck and Chimney polishing the penetrating phallus of the 118. I enjoy it. But yeah, they're just talking about family stuff.
Well, I want to bring up.
I don't care.
I want to bring up a line in this scene where, you know, Hen asks Chimney, like, why are you worried if there's like a lack of drama at your house? And Chimney says, because it's unnatural, Hen, like the two of you down there tossing that ball. And I was like, whatever could he mean by that? It felt like he was saying, like, you two prissy gay people, Hen and Eddie, you don't throw around baseball.
Or you two people who express outwardly no attraction to men are grabbing onto that baseball for dear life. That's interesting. And for Hen, obviously, it's like, well, my son is getting into baseball, so whatever. But Eddie, it's like, why did I volunteer to play catch? And he's the catcher. Bottom Eddie Cannon. Bottom Eddie Cannon. I rest my case. You know, I rest my case.
Well, that's a fascinating read, Ryan. And this is why people listen to the First Rest podcast, for our thrilling film analysis like this. Now, we cut to a call where a lady is in labor in the back of like an Uber or a Lyft. This is an evil thing to do to a rideshare driver, by the way. I am not on her side. Yeah. Call a damn ambulance. I know they're expensive, but this guy isn't getting paid enough to be your personal ambulance. So he's driving her. There is still a scary lightning storm going on outside. So it's a very stressful situation. They are also playing the like 80s dance cover of that Eddie Floyd song, Knock on Wood, that has the lyric of, it's like thunder, lightning, because this show thinks we're stupid and every needle drop has to be extremely on the nose in this season. So they're driving. This lady's in labor. She's doing some crazy labor acting where she keeps like screaming really scarily.
I'm obsessed with this actress.
No,
I'm
she's
obsessed.
great.
She got 5 minutes of screen time and she said, I am going to scream as much as possible. I'm going to get my check and then one after this. Because this is my door. This is my opportunity.
And get my reel. Like, this is going to single-handedly make my acting reel. So then, unfortunately, the lightning like strikes their car and somehow sets off the airbags. And the crash that they get into is like the worst it could have possibly been. Not only do they get struck by lightning.
Looney Tunes ass crash, like a barrel rolling across the street.
Not only do they get struck by lightning, but the airbags go off, they like explode, they start barrel rolling across the street. It's like every roll creates a new fiery explosion.
Yeah.
until they finally land, car still on fire, upside down, 911 call.
There is like some damage that has been done to like public viewers, like a sense of like the human body and like what it can withstand because of scenes like this.
Yeah, I think they would have been turned into a fine red mist by this accident. I actually don't think they would have both been totally intact and conscious by the end of it.
I certainly don't think the baby would have been totally intact and conscious by the end of this. Not I know it's gauche.
This is a very memorable call for what happens.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, something kind of interesting happens where nobody in the car calls 911. The car itself has some safety feature where, like, a robot voice calls Josh and says, like, the owner of this vehicle has been in a crash. Here are their coordinates. So, I mean, that's a pretty good feature if that's real. This should have been product placement for some car, but it doesn't seem associated with any particular brand. The 118 race to the rescue. And we get, like, I think a pretty good, like, very dramatic, intense rescue scene. There are a lot of moving parts. Sergey, the driver, he's got like a flail chest, so I don't know what that means, but Hen has a line where she says, if we don't get him help soon, we'll be playing pick up sticks with his ribs, which I think it's
Good
funny
line.
when on TV they have to turn everything into a snappy line like that. Like in real life, I think they'd just be like, he has a flail chest. We need to, we need to do this.
We need to like do a chest tube or something like that.
Pick up sticks with his. We'll be able to play the xylophone on his ribs. Like you have to turn it into a silly little line.
No, it's funny. Like the amount of time that it takes to say that sentence. Like you could be like already inserting like the chest catheter or whatever it is.
So Sergey's got a problem. The pregnant passenger, they see that she's pregnant, but they also see that one, she's unconscious, and two, the umbilical cord is out. So, like...
Yeah. That's not good.
Bobby says...
Bobby... That's bad.
I mean, I'm impressed at Bobby for even making this deduction, because I would never in a million years would my mind have gone there. He says, is it possible the baby could have been ejected? Chimney, somehow familiar with this scenario, says, well, if she was dilated enough... It's like, what, have you seen one of these before?
I mean, I suppose it stands to reason. Like, I don't have like as much of like a base of knowledge of physics to know like what it would take, like how much centrifugal force it would take to shoot a baby out of a woman. But like,
I'm just gonna say, as a vagina haver, youch. That's gotta hurt.
It can't be fun. It can't feel good.
Maybe it felt really good for the baby.
Yeah.
Like just a quick launch out of the womb and into the world. Like he's Speed Racer.
Yeah, it's like getting like fired out of one of those cannons into like a net or like water or something like that. Yeah. Or like going down a ski jump. Yeah.
He was like, wee.
You know, like when you like ride your bike down a hill really fast, like it feels like that.
The baby was exhilarated.
Yeah. So Buck, he can't. Exhilaration is it should be talked about more in like the baby's experience of childbirth. So Buck
sliding out of the birth canal, saying "Yippee!"
He's just sliding out of the birth canal, going, "Oh, thank God, that felt so good." You have a runner's high afterwards. So
babies probably do have a runner's high. I'm sure there's plenty of adrenaline happening, but sadly, they probably won't remember it.
Yeah, but Buck, he has the saw. And he can't saw open the door because there's a gas leak, because there were multiple explosions. If you remember, there were multiple explosions. And so gas is leaking everywhere. So too many sparks, you don't want another one. What's one more explosion on top of the last 4, Yeah,
come on. They survived the last like 20.
Yeah.
They pull the lady out of the car. Oh my God. For some reason, they don't like clip the umbilical cord first, so they pull her out and it seems like it just like rips out of her in a horrific way. She's like screaming.
Insane.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Is there any reason we couldn't have just clamped and cut that thing? I guess they don't have a lot of time, but like surely there's gotta be a better way. Hen is like,
you gotta at least clamp it. Like the baby's gonna bleed out. Are you kidding me?
Because they do clamp it a second later once it is like torn. So it's like, girl,
once they have the baby, they're like a baby first, clamp second. Yeah, insane. If I was the baby, I would sue.
The baby's too busy like having its runner's high. But Hen is
Mhm.
like, that baby's only got like 3 minutes before it's brain dead. Bobby, you got to get it out. So Bobby finds the baby. It's sort of wedged between like the dashboard and the top of the car or something, and he's got to get Buck in to sort of like raise up the top of the car so that he can actually, the baby's kind of trapped and stuck with his little arm
Mhm.
wedged in between there. So they get him out.
He is trapped. Oh, he's so stuck.
Ugh, being
Oh.
so trapped and so stuck so early in
Yeah.
one's life, that can't be easy.
It's tragic. Bobby does say it's a boy when he gets the baby out, which is funny
And kind of problematic of him for like equating sex with gender,
for
but
assuming. Yeah.
you know,
Fucked up. Do better, Bobby Nash. Well, he can't anymore.
he died problematic.
I know this is gauche to suggest this, but I feel like in real life, that's curtains for the kid, right? Like, even if the mom survives,
How did the baby survive getting like slammed into a car?
yeah, yeah.
You know, they're mushy little guys. Maybe it was like still like springy and soft enough that it just, you know, it's just sort of bounced off.
Babies just perplex me. I mean, they'll die for no reason and then survive shit like this.
And then live through shocking ordeals.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, this isn't like real life, but yeah, let's just say it was a medical miracle. So Bobby gets
Again.
the baby out, and he does finally clamp the cord. It's about time. It's kind of unclear if the baby's breathing. It's not crying yet, but Bobby like takes the baby and kind of gives it the old rub down until it starts crying. It's clearly a rubber baby, which is funny. And that tiny rubber newborn baby suddenly transforms into like a 3-month-old large child who's crying, and he hands it off to Buck. They get it to the mommy.
So glad you mentioned that because I also noticed that.
You know, it's pretty par for the course on TV. They get it to its mom, and they're finally done with this extremely intense call. By the way, they got Sergey out. Hen had to like
They got
stick
Sergey
a needle
out.
in his chest, but he's fine.
And you know, I must say that like this entire scene, the mom has been screaming her ass off.
Yes.
It's actually insane. The pipes on this woman.
The pipes on this
Like,
woman,
she could be an opera singer. You know, she just goes for it, dude. Like, this is our scream queen. This is who we should be having in the movies, you know, alongside Jennifer Love Hewitt.
This is who we should be having in the movies, you guys.
In all the movies. This is how you save the cinema, is this woman. I'll make you 5,000 obsessions with with her as my lead.
True.
Okay.
But the call is over. We can tell that it had like a uniquely emotional effect on Bobby. It just seems like he's in like a fragile place right now, and that was an intense one. But we cut to May, who is like at the flower stand at the farmer's market or something, because she's been stalking Tamara.
I wrote what I thought was a funny note, which is that because she has her addict makeup on, and she's cosplaying, so she's really in character, and she plucks a rose out of like a bouquet of roses, and in character she tries to snort the whole thing, but she doesn't know how substances work, so it doesn't work.
Okay, she smells the rose is what Ryan means, and she organically, quote unquote, runs into Tamara. She's like, "Hey girl, I'm here buying flowers too." Tamara like tries to make an excuse and leave, but May is like, "Hey, can we talk? I'm trying to find out about this friend of mine who died at your facility. His name was Wendell." Tamara kind of gets a look on her face. She says he OD'd unconvincingly in a field. He was smoking. It lit on fire. May's like, "Wendell didn't smoke. You know that. You were in the program with him." "What else do you know, Tamara?" Tamara, someone I love who's in recovery, says that, you know, it's not the back pain that made him addicted. It was the things he was carrying. Yeah, she's appealing to emotion, trying to relate to Tamara. And Tamara, like, sheds a couple tears. She's like, "Fine." I forget what she says.
Why fucking bother put on all the addict makeup if you're just gonna drop character immediately?
That's true.
And start
That's true.
waxing on about like the Wendell thing, the Bobby thing, just giving up like the act entirely. May Grant,
I mean,
you can do better. Okay, I've seen you do better than this.
I mean, she doesn't specify, she doesn't say that she's not an addict or that her friend is, but yeah, she does like reveal that she has all these ulterior motives for looking into this. But all we see is
Strange.
Tamara. We all we see is Tamara like tearing up about it, and then we cut away to more boring stuff, which is Buck has arrived home with a bunch of Indian food for the family, the
Mm-hmm.
Buckleys, the Hans, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
Chimney is still dreading, this little
Mm-hmm.
family reunion. Buck, this is so messy. Buck gets this text from Connor and Cameron, and it's like an ultrasound image, and he's showing it to Albert, like, "Hey, look at my sperm donor
My little
baby."
sonogram, you know? And Albert's like, oh my God.
He's hiding this from his parents, and for some reason he thought it was a good idea to just like bring this up in front of his parents, because his mom comes over and she's like, "That's a
Bro.
sonogram. It's I know what's going on here. Chimney and Maddie are having another baby." And she just like runs with that assumption and announces it to everybody. They're all like, "Oh, what great news." And they're like, "Chimney, you didn't tell us you were having another baby." He's like, "We are." And he spills the beans. He's like, "Well, we're not actually having another baby." And so of course Mrs. Buckley is like, "Well then, Buck, Evan, who is?" Which so
And
many Mpreg jokes could be made
yeah,
about this scene. You really want it to be like, I guess Buck's pregnant then, but no, sadly he isn't. He's
he
like,
does say, no, he does say something Mpreg adjacent,
yes.
which is,
He says it belongs to a friend of mine. He says it belongs to a friend of mine. He's having a baby, and Margaret's like, "Oh, that's so nice that he sent you a sonogram." And he's like, "Well, I actually helped him get pregnant."
and then you just see this look of confusion on her face. Her actress, I will say, we've said
D.
like
Wallace.
high things of the great Miss D. Wallace on this show before,
Mm-hmm.
but like she gives like a great performance in this scene. Like the way that she like turns her head, just like the way her eyes like look in this scene, it's like uncanny. It's
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
you see all the
And so yeah, there's
confusion
this.
and disappointment and like, what
Mm-hmm.
is my son? What, you're telling me my son's out there getting men pregnant? Yeah. And we think he should get more of them pregnant. But he
Mm-hmm.
explains, of course, that Connor and his wife were having trouble conceiving and asked him to be their sperm donor. And his parents are like, "And you said yes?" And, everyone's preparing themselves for the oncoming storm, you could say, of the
Mm-hmm.
Buckleys' reactions. But they're actually like, "You know what? I think it's great." And you're like, again, this doesn't make any sense coming from them.
Mm-mm. But you know who it does make sense from coming from
Yeah.
the other version of it. Chimney's father decides to enter the conversation where he goes, "That's a mockery,"
Yeah,
or
he's like,
whatever
"You're
the
really
fuck.
going to allow this? Like, a man having another man's baby?" No, that's not what he says. A man, um,
Something akin to that, but a little less gay. Like a man cannot raise a child that's not his own. He doesn't believe in adoption, basically, or
yeah, which is crazy.
anything approaching it.
And of course,
Yeah.
Chimney is like, says the expert in child rearing, huh? I thought you would relate to Buck's decision, father someone and let someone else raise them. And everybody's like, "Whoa, Chimney, calm down." But everybody starts fighting basically because Chimney's dad is
Mm-hmm.
really, really doubling down, and the Buckleys are like feeling the need to defend their own kids and also like defend
Mm-hmm.
Chimney and be like, "Well, you hid from your child in another country," which is kind of rich coming from them because like they hid from their
Yeah.
kids in their own house and neglected them. But they all start yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm. The power goes out. It's like it's a whole thing. Everyone's mad at everyone.
Yes, they're stopped by the power going out, and they're like, "Great, just another thing happening." Maddie comes out with G, who is crying, and they're all like, "Oh, did the lightning make you scared?" And Maddie really lays down the law. She says, "No, it was the yelling." It's like,
Yeah.
yes, name and shame them, Maddie.
Hello. I was so uninterested in the fight that was happening on camera, but I
Yeah,
was like
it's just like
holding
so
my breath to
perfunctory.
see like just how racist it would get, because I feel like there was like a moment where Buck's dad was kind of tiptoeing up to the line.
You were half expecting Philip to go like, maybe in the country you come from.
Yeah, like a little bit, right? Like, because they seem like the type, no shade, full shade, fuck them. And yeah, Maddie comes in, she lays down the law, and then back at Hen's house, Hen walks into Denny's room and he's on his iPad, and then like as soon as she walks in, he flips it off. So like right away,
What
your
is
brain
she
goes to like,
assume?
what is she to assume? What does she think he was watching or looking at? I don't know. I don't know. But it's just another one of those kind of perfunctory scenes. Like she's like, "Hey, so baseball or whatever," and Denny's like, "Well," D is like, "Yeah, I know. I figured. I don't remember what happens. Sorry.
Well, it's
I don't
not
remember what he
exactly just
says."
a perfunctory scene, because at the end we get a big reveal. When Hen leaves the room, we see that Denny picks up the iPad again. He was not watching pornography. He actually was on FaceTime with his biological father. And he's like, his
Clap if you
biological
care.
well, his biological dad is like, "Oh, is that your mom?" And he's like, "I don't know if we can keep, like, I don't know if it's good for us to keep hiding this. Like, we should probably tell him." He calls him D, so you're like, okay, so that's why Denny wants to be called D, is that's his dad's nickname for him.
Yeah.
Denny's like, I'll tell them later," and the dad's like, okay. Let's meet up soon to break in that new glove. And Denny's like, "Yay." So
I don't like this. I don't like the
no, me neither. It's like
the secret calls.
Yeah, I think it will turn out to be that Denny's biological father like means well, and they're obviously, everything we've seen is very wholesome. But yeah, it is like, you as an adult should know that like you can't be carrying on this correspondence with a kid without their parents knowing. I'm sure he's in a tough position of like wanting to get to know the kid, but really what he should do probably is like track down Denny's parents before really, hopping on FaceTime with him in secret.
Was it accidental? Was it accidental on the writer's part to set up that Denny has this like secret relationship with an adult man that's been carrying on without his mom's plural knowledge for 4 months, to the point where it's like secret FaceTime calls, secret meetups in the park to, like play catch or whatever? Like this just, it sets off so many stranger danger alarm bells that have been ingrained into us, and I just need to know if they did this on accident, or if they were like trying to set up one thing and then pivoted, or if it was an intentional bait and switch. Like what were they going for?
I think I don't think they were trying to make it creepy. I think it's just to create the drama of Denny hiding something from his mom's. But yeah, it's like,
isn't that so naive? Like,
it is
in
a
that
little
case,
naive. Like, for us to like this guy, I think it's like, you would need to see. Maybe they could have written. I think I would have written it as like, Denny has maybe misled him to believe that he has gotten some permission from his parents on some level, or like something to explain why the guy would be okay with this type of thing. Because yeah, like you're a little like, I get that he probably hasn't been a parent before, and so maybe he's not thinking of everything, but you're like, any sane adult should know that you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's not okay. Like, you should have known that, bud. I would have been down with it if they had gone for like, you remember that like really memorable episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where like Will's dad comes back for like one episode and then abandons him again? Like they could have done a thing like that, but this is the season of the, only forgiveness for the parents. So IDK.
Yeah, they just make his dad a really nice, well-intentioned guy, and good for Denny, good for D.
Good for D, but it's just boring, bad for us.
But back at the Han Buckley household, the parents are making amends. Maybe it's because Philip has this big glass of whiskey in his hands. Maybe he's feeling more he's feeling the love now that he's got his big glass of whiskey. But anyway, the parents are making amends. Chimney's dad actually apologizes to the Buckleys, and Philip apologizes back. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have come back at you so hard. And Chimney goes over to Albert. He's like, did our dad really just apologize?
That feels very out of character.
Yes. Albert has this really frustrating line where he's like, there's a lot you don't know about him. And it's like, fuck you. Like, he
Yeah.
was abandoned by your dad. Like, I get that. I mean, even Albert, when we met him, had his own set of problems with their dad. But it feels like here they're depicting it as like, oh, Albert always really got along with their dad. And like, even if that were the case, it's like, you can't just invalidate Chimney's experience like that by saying, like,
Yeah.
actually, he was a great dad to me. It's like, yeah, to you. He
To
was a
you.
bad dad to Chimney. Like, let Chimney
It's kind of the
feel
problem,
that.
kind of the point of contention here, bud.
Yeah, like,
Ugh.
there's a lot you don't know about him. Okay, could he have been present for any part of my childhood? That would have been nice.
Right, but it's just like, I guess the families are fixed now, and like you have a moment where like Buck is talking to Maddie, and they're like watching their nice happy parents that are complete 180s from how they were their entire lives, and they're like, they start rhapsodizing about like, what would life have been like if Daniel mentioned if Daniel
Yes.
hadn't died, and they're like, probably something a lot like this. And I'm
Which
like,
I only really noticed on this watch through is, I guess, direct foreshadowing for the premise of the next episode. But I still
Yep.
don't see how all of this connects. And I guess we'll talk about it when the big cliffhanger of the episode happens. So, blah, blah, blah. Big happy
about
family.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big happy family. Now, the 118 are driving in the engine, and the rain is just pouring down outside. You can tell it's from a rain machine because it's all pointing in one direction, like diagonal
Oh my God,
against
yeah.
the truck. They're like speeding down this really rainy street.
Bro, the fucking establishing shot has like the worst rain filter I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
pretty
depth
bad.
to it. It's just
It's lifetime
entirely
core.
foreground flat. It's rough. And yeah, I do love like the heavy prop rain, just because it not only is it moving in only one direction, it's also so heavy that it looks like the streets are flooded by like 5 inches. It's crazy. Yeah. And they're like two very different conversations are happening in these trucks. In the Buddy plus Bobby truck, in the Buddy plus Bobby truck, they're just like, Buck is like, yeah, I guess my family's all good and back together and whatnot, and it's so good to be alive and not get struck by lightning.
Man, I love my life.
And then in the the Hen and Chimney, okay, let me do this. Hemney or Himney?
Hemney, I guess, is more like even-handed to both of their names.
Yeah. In the Hemney truck, it's the conversation takes a more dour tone, I suppose you could say.
Yeah. Hen is kind of trying to dig deeper into Chimney's daddy issues. He's like, she's telling him that she really empathizes because she too, you'll remember, was abandoned by her father. And she's like, that hurt is really deep. And I know you like to cover it up with your pithy one-liners, but that's a deep wound. And even she is like, if my father were alive, I always wondered if I had just had a chance to talk to him and let him know how much he hurt me, if maybe things would be different. And she's like kind of pressuring him into making amends with his father because, she wishes she had gotten that opportunity. And like, I get that, like, that's a perspective that he could hear, I guess, but it still feels like, okay, like, why does Chimney, I don't know. I feel like in this situation, if I were Chimney, I would be like open to making amends with my dad, but I would really feel like my dad should be the one to make that effort, or at least like extend that hand first. And I would be a little pissed that 100%. All my friends and family are trying to be like, well, you have to do something about this. You owe it to him. You owe it to your child. Like, you're going to regret it if you don't. Which, I don't know. Why should it be on Chimney,
Yeah, it's like there's this profound sense of entitlement to not only like Chimney's like family and his relationship with his father, but then to direct it or to steer it in a way that, is more emotionally I guess, complete for them. it's like, this wasn't your life. This wasn't your relationship. Like, everyone is just overstepping on like his relationship with his father, and it's very uncomfortable to watch at certain points. I don't
Yeah.
know what to make of it other than just like, people kind of need to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
I,
I
I,
guess
I,
I guess to be fair, Hen does say, she doesn't say like, "Oh, I wish I could have made amends with my dad to repair our relationship," or like for his sake. She says, "Maybe if I could have shown him my pain, it would have helped me release it." So she's arguing like maybe it would help you get some closure if you could at least hash this out, which is fair. But it doesn't really sound like she's saying like you should tell. I don't know. I feel like the thesis of the conflict in the episode isn't like you should tell your dad how he made you feel so that like he can finally come to an understanding about it. It feels more like you should make up with your dad, which is like a little,
yeah.
yeah, overstepping a little more.
And I understand that this is like a character backstory thing, but this isn't even like a thing that's been teased throughout the season.
No,
This has been on the back burner for years.
a long time.
And so like, it doesn't even really make a lot of sense narratively, because dad's been back in the picture for 2 days and he already has so many voices about, well, I guess you should, let the past be the past and make up and everything, which if you pace out the story properly, then could be poignant and could be a moment of healing and personal reflection and growth for both characters, especially for Chimney. But it's just not, it's not adequately set up, because nobody thought to do it until they were writing this episode. So fail. I give this one an F. I don't support it, and I don't appreciate it.
Like watching back what Hen is saying, I think she's being pretty empathetic about it. But yeah, like I said, the overall sort of message of this part of the episode has been more like, yeah, like you have to make amends, Chimney. And Hen ends her thing by being like, yeah, like you should make him hear you while there's still time. So then adding also this pressure that feels a little guilting of like, I don't know if she's implying like while he's still alive or while you're still alive, like something like that. I guess because her dad died before she got that opportunity.
Did your parents ever do that to you of like, I hope you, I just, your poor mother, I hope you can forgive her before I'm gone, or whatever, like to your face?
They haven't quite gone that far. I got a lot of like, this is my house that I pay for type stuff from my dad growing up, but not so much the it's pretty intense to tell your kids I'll be dead someday and then you'll feel pretty bad about mouthing off to me.
I got that one a lot. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
It's whatever. Oh my god, you called me brother in the way that Eddie calls Buck brother. Yo, we're in love.
Oh my god, what are we?
But we can't linger on that. We'll circle back to it in 8 to 10 years, if at all.
Yes, because at the moment, the 118, you guys, they're actually fighting a fire, which is kind of confusing because it is raining so hard. You're like, can they just leave it and the rain will put it out?
Yeah. God's doing all the work for you, pal. Like
you guys should just go
You're
home.
not needed. Seriously, take the night off. Like, watch some Netflix or something.
And they really should have taken the night off, because Buck starts climbing up the big metal pole, the big metal ladder in the middle of a thunderstorm. What did we think was going to happen? He, as you mentioned to me before we started this call, he gets to the top of the ladder, looks up at the sky, and we get this bizarre, like, kind of ugly POV shot of the CGI raindrops falling down from the sky.
Yeah.
And this is, I guess, to foreshadow the fact that he then gets struck by lightning and like does this kind of comedy pratfall back from the ladder, off of the ladder.
Eddie does another comedy pratfall of his own as well. So that's
Right.
buddy seeds.
Yeah, buddy seeds. Boys who comedy pratfall together kiss each other. I'm always saying that. And I don't want to be harsh or anything, because I know a lot of 911 fans, like, this scene is very important to people. We love to use it in edits. I think I like joked about this in my video. I found this like edit that had like 50 views. So I'm sorry I put it on blast, but I thought it was so funny.
Oh.
It was it was like this scene edited to the song What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish from the Barbie movie. I think it was like a Buck edit in general, but like this was the beginning of it. I'm pretty sure it was the lightning scene and just, I used to float. Now I just fall
Yo!
down. Which, objectively hilarious to juxtapose that with a guy being struck by lightning and falling off of a fire truck ladder. I do appreciate some
What
things about this
did it
sequence.
Although enjoyment.
I think this concept of somebody getting struck by lightning while on a call is obviously very dramatic and juicy. And I do think the shot of Buck just dangling from the ladder, because what happens is he like falls off the ladder, but he's still like, he was tethered. He's got a line on him, so he's just dangling from it like a little, like he's like in a claw machine game or something. And
like the fucking guy in that video, he's on like the zip line going around the arcade or whatever, and he's just like limp or whatever. You know what I mean?
I probably do, but I would need to see it again. Yeah, I feel like he reminds me of something here. He's like a Christmas ornament. He's like, you know, me dangling like a feather wand toy for my cat. Oh, she would love to play with a little Buck who's on his dangling from a fire truck. I have several questions. I want to know, is like does this happen? Like, because it does seem like, okay, yeah, fire stations use these huge metal ladder, like essentially these giant lightning rods to go up into buildings. And yeah, if there was a thunderstorm, you'd think it would attract lightning. So like, do they do anything preventative about that? Or I would think if that was a risk, then maybe like in a thunderstorm, you would say, okay, we're not going to use the ladder. I just am like, surely if this is a risk, surely someone is doing something about this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a little like, if this is a thing that can happen, wouldn't it happen all the time? So I just want to know, like, do they just take that risk? Second thing, we hear that they are in MacArthur Park, which I think is really funny. Someone
It's
left
melting in the dark.
Buck out in the rain.
In the rain. Oh, the sweet green icing's flowing down. Yep.
That sweet bisexual boy's falling down. Yeah. So they.
Oh no!
Everybody starts freaking out. I will say we finally get a little bit of reciprocal energy from Eddie here in the Buck near-death experience situation.
You think so?
I thought this
You
was
think
buzzy.
so?
He's really yelling Buck's name over and over again. Sure, it doesn't have quite the intensity that Oliver Stark has when he's yelling, Eddie! But that's because Oliver Stark turns on like a level of acting heretofore unknown by man prior to 911 to yell Eddie's name when Eddie's getting buried by a mudslide or whatever. I think Ryan's trying his best here. And I think there's enough intensity here for me.
Here's the thing. I think the intensity is pointed in the wrong direction. I do think there's a lot of intensity in this, but it's like this like brutish, masculine, like almost
sort of
like he's like yelling at Buck to get back up in like a cage fight. Like that's what it's giving to me. It's not giving like panicked lover.
It's all Ryan Guzman knows, okay? It's all he knows.
It's
this cage fight.
I know. It's him. It's his fault. Couldn't he have upped the octave a little bit more? I don't know. There wasn't enough panic in there for me.
You wanted him to be like, Buck!
It's almost like he was mad at him, okay?
Aww.
Like,
well, he was,
like,
you know, you could take that as Eddie characterization. Like when Eddie's dying, Buck is like, you know, tears streaming down his face, desperation, I'm about to lose my wife. When Buck is dying, maybe Eddie gets this almost like he's angry at him. He's like, no, you can't die. I'll kill you.
I don't know. This might be my most controversial take on the podcast yet, and this is coming from the Claudette Collins defender. But I have never been particularly moved by this scene. I've never found it particularly buzzy. I've never found it particularly buddylicious.
I don't find it particularly moving either, but I guess I was just appreciating for really the first time, because the last couple times I watched this, I was like, oh, season 6, which I still am, obviously. But I was appreciating him yelling. Maybe it's just because we're so deprived of like moments like that where Eddie gets to worry about Buck in that way that I was into it. Sue me.
It might be the follow up as well. Sorry, excuse me, because after Eddie gets up the ladder while he's brutishly intimidating Buck into being alive and alert again,
Okay.
and he lowers him down. We don't get any more buddy interactions, and we don't really get any more in the follow up episode either. Like it really is just that one moment. You know?
Well, apparently there was an explanation for this given very recently at like a con. We found out from Ryan Guzman that he had like, I think it was that he broke his nose doing something. I forget what. He had broken his nose around this time, and supposedly that's why his character was not a big part of the ensuing Coma Dream episode, which is a real
he shouldn't
shame.
have done that.
No, I agree.
He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have broken his nose.
Well,
he shouldn't have been doing whatever he was doing that ended up breaking his nose.
I was gonna say not to act like Eddie is the center of the universe, but he is. They low-key like shouldn't have done a Buck Coma Dream episode if Eddie like couldn't really be heavily featured in it. Like, what do you mean? That's like Buck's number one person.
Bro, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, broken nose or not, like, Eddie was still in the episode, and what happened, what made it to print still made it to print. You know,
You know what they should have done? You know what they should have done is written it in. They should have written it in and have Eddie be like so angsty at home that he like bangs his face against the mirror and breaks both it and his nose because he's going so crazy worrying about Buck. And you could be like, wow, Eddie's really fucked up right now. And then he can just have a broken nose. Or maybe he's like, maybe he is worried about Buck, and then he randomly gets punched in the face. Maybe he's so emotionally torn up about it that he goes back to the Fight Club and he gets punched in the face and breaks his nose.
By Lena Bosco, bring Ronda Rousey back. Yeah.
By Lena Bosco. She's like, man, I told you to never come around these parts again once I found out you didn't even know my cat's name. Punches him. And then he shows up to the hospital and everybody's like, whoa, Eddie, what happened to you? And he's like, I fell. And everybody's like, I know there's more to that story, but I can tell he's just really upset about Buck, so I'm not going to press the issue. Anyway, Buck has been struck by lightning.
He has been struck. Buck gets struck, guys. He got struck. He got struck by lightning like Chris Colfer in that movie that I haven't seen but heard was good.
Oh, I used to watch that movie all the time. Like a 12-year-old.
How was it? Was it good? Is it a good movie?
So as a 12-year-old who hadn't seen a lot of movies, like kind of good movies for grown-ups, I thought it was pretty good because that was like one of the first like kind of indie movies I had really seen probably. Now as an adult, I'm sure I would find it like not so good, but at the time
I heard it was good. I heard like adults watched it and liked it.
I do remember a good deal about it because I watched it a few times, but I think it's like fine for what it is. It's kind of like quirky and I think he's a good writer,
Yeah, he is I think he's provably a good writer. He's been very successful writer. Yeah. Here's what I'll say about the canon version of events here that would make it Buddylicious. And in order to do so, we're going to have to venture into the realm of psychoanalysis.
Sure.
So I mentioned before the phallic imagery of Buck and Chim polishing the ladder, and that was inspired by these ominous shots of the ladder extending into darkness, establishing this scenario, which felt like penetrative almost, like the phallus of the 118 venturing into the scary unknown while trying to reach up to the fire, right? Which is, I guess, the goal, the whatever. And you have Buck ascending the ladder, only to be struck by lightning. An act of God, perhaps, or perhaps an act of him going against nature in his bisexual ways, right? And in order to save his life, who should ascend the ladder but it is Eddie, who embraces his latent homosexuality to, I don't know, this feels I'm on the spot, okay? Like, this is not a well-formed argument. I'm trying to do what I can. I'm pulling gay Eddie out of the id of the deep recesses of his subconscious, because that's what's happening here. He's ascending He's ascending the ladder to save Buck's life in an almost union. Now, we don't get an actual moment of physical contact between the two. Instead, Eddie lowers him down and returns him to the safety and normalcy of the 118 and away from danger, from the wrath of God or the universe or what have you. So if anything, the scene is kind of homophobic.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it doesn't let them join in the sky or on Earth. Well, that's season 6 for you, honestly.
Because they don't. And this, I'm not going to lie to you. I was disappointed that Eddie didn't reach for him. He actually, he needs more slack to lower Buck to the ground. He could have just ripped him out of the air and carried him down.
I noticed that too. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's homophobic.
At the very least, in terms of unintentional buddy symbolism, you could say that this is representative of the larger trend in season 6 of having Buddy distance themselves from each other instead of, seek each other out for connection, be it in a romantic or a platonic way.
So in that case, I fear to say the fandom might be misusing the scene in their edits. They shouldn't be setting it to what was I made for. They should be setting it to so far away.
Yeah.
Something like that. Just give me a yearning edit with this scene. That feels like it would be more coherent.
But see, by giving it that read, you're also making me more interested in the scene. So it is romantic, just not in the way we thought. It's sad.
Yeah. It's sad. It's deeply sad. And Eddie's not even in Buck's coma dream. Wow, they could not. And we've all said, and we all know that season 6 is the season of Buddy being more divorced than ever.
Well, okay, I want to stop talking about this. Buddy aside, I want to talk about my problem with this sequence of events, which is mainly that I really don't think Buck had any reason to be struck by lightning here. I think I think narratively, Buck is the least sensical choice for a near-death experience here, let alone one that leads to this introspective coma dream in the following episode, which obviously we'll get to that. But think about it, right? Typically when a character has a big brush with death like this on the show, it's because they are at some kind of turning point, right? Like Eddie in the mudslide, which, yeah, we don't really like Eddie Begins, but at least they understood at that point that if you're going to have a character be in a situation like this and have all these reflections, it should be because you are exploring some sort of conflict within that character. Or Maddie's brush with death was extremely personal for her because that wasn't even a natural disaster. That was her being confronted with her abusive husband. And that was a huge character moment for her where she had to kind of make that choice to choose herself and choose to fight back. And then, I'm trying to think, obviously you have some random ones like Karen earlier in the season, but even that was, albeit in a flawed way, it was used to explore both Karen's relationship with parenthood and to spur a decision in Hen over medical school. So it had a narrative function. This sequence, I would argue, Buck getting struck by lightning and then the ensuing coma episode serves really practically no narrative purpose. As I talked about at length in my 911 video, Buck is not changed by this experience. They frame it like some kind of character study that will be consequential, that is some kind of arc for him when no arc is present. In fact, I think it's kind of comical how badly this is executed because in this episode, right before this, Buck was more at peace than he's ever been, right? He was wow, my family's getting along. Connor and Cameron are pregnant. I'm finally doing something with my life. I could see someone arguing, oh, well, at the beginning of the season, he made it clear that he was searching for something. Yeah, and the narrative answered that with him becoming a sperm donor. Now, did we like it? No, but that's what that was. He's already having his transformative experience. So what the fuck is this? is it just a commentary on the true natural randomness of lightning strikes? It could be, were it not for the ensuing coma dream episode that like postures as this transformative emotional arc for Buck. It's so crazy. Like, I guess I should save it for the next episode, but it's so crazy to me the way that episode functions as like, we're really gonna look inside of Buck's psyche here and do something. It's like, but do what? Like, he doesn't need anything right now. He's fine. He's having a great time in life. Who would do, if anything, I was saying to my sister at the end of this episode, it would have made sense for Chimney to get struck by lightning here. He's the one who has been faced with this, you know, decision he has to make throughout this episode. And right before this, Hen said to him, you should tell your dad what you want to say while there's still time, which would have like actively foreshadowed him having a life or death experience. Like,
there's even a moment of like Chim, like he starts to go up on the ladder, then Buck's like, no, I got this one, and then Buck goes ahead and does it. So like, if it was intentionally a bait and switch, but it's drawn out far too long for it to be effective as a bait and switch, you know?
Yeah, I think it was just sloppy. Like, Chimney, of all the characters, like, it probably should have been Chimney. It could have been Eddie. Like, genuinely any other character. You know, Bobby could have had a near-death experience right now, and it could have brought him some kind of, you know, you could have written in something to do with Wendell and this rehab thing. But no, like, Buck is truly like the character that makes the least sense for this in this moment. And I'm so baffled by it. And it truly just feels like an example of like the writer's favoritism of Buck, like just loving to put him through the ringer because they know that like fans will be worried about Buck and they'll make their little edits about him getting struck by lightning. And it's like, we didn't need this. This is like the least necessary thing we've ever not needed.
It stinks. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And taking out, like, I guess the psychoanalytic read that I basically did as a troll, like they are doing like a lot of like heavy lifting, like with like the cinematography here of like lowering him down, all the firefighters like rallying around him in the rain and this like blue lighting. It almost is like reminiscent of a baptism. So it's obviously meant to be like symbolic of something, but what that is it's ineffable. I don't know what to say, you know. It's nonsense, you know. And like at least if Chimney had been the one to get struck by lightning, you know, you wouldn't have Chimney on the stretcher doing the worst chest compressions I've ever seen in my life. You know?
At least he wasn't doing real ones and like breaking Oliver Stark's ribs like they were trying to do to that one guest star.
He's a beefy boy. He can take it. Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Buck is unresponsive. He might be dead. His pulse has stopped, and we end the episode on a big cliffhanger. This stinks.
And poor Buddy fans got nothing. They got nothing. You know, Eddie's literally driving the ambulance.
Poor shit. You know? Yeah, they make Eddie drive. Like, Bobby is like, Eddie, you're driving. Why would you make, like, the sensical decision in the story would be like, oh, Eddie's going to be way too fucked up to, you know, Eddie's, like when Eddie gets shot and Buck is, like, shaking outside the hospital, Taylor Kelly is like, you can't go see his kid right now. Like, let's go get you cleaned up and calm down. That's logical, right? Because they're best friends. Like, not even talking about a romantic buddy situation. So here it's like, what do you mean Eddie's gonna drive the ambulance? He's about to drive it off a cliff if you hand him the keys right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man.
But that concludes this stupid episode of 911, another banger from season 6. And next week is like truly one of my least favorite episodes in the entire show. So I hope you're ready for more negativity and pissing all over this show.
Bro, it's insane how much love like this scene and the follow-up episode gets. It's just, I don't understand it. I never have. I never will. Stolen valor, I guess one might say, you know? So with that, you know, if you felt similar to us watching this episode, or if you did not, you know, thanks for listening. Follow us on social media at First Podcast, spelled how it sounds, to tell us your thoughts. And if you want to support us further than that, Subscribe to our Patreon, because this month we will be finally biting the bullet that we have been staring down the barrel of this entire time and watching emo Oliver Stark movie Mind Gamers. Yes.
I am so excited. Finally some good
Bro.
Oliver Stark content, hopefully.
Bro, I was looking at the screen grabs from that movie. Like, I'm going to be throwing up in my mouth the entire time. I think I'm going to watch it tonight.
Well, I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank.
All right. I love that for you. Not crazy about it for me, but it's what you come here for.
Try not to get struck by lightning because it'll make you gay or something, or bisexual maybe.